Hello, it's me again, and I'm back with the Gall. I want to make this video because two things. We're approaching the 1 year anniversary of me owning this car. I bought it in 30th of December, and I got a new accessory for it, which are these tail lights, which on this car is an accessory, but it's actually an OEM thing, and it's a pretty curious thing. So in 1980, when the Gall was launched, it launched with these tail lights with the red indicator lenses. Apart from the orange ones, which I had on my previous video. And you know, they look prettier, so I decided to put them on as an accessory for my car. And it's a curious thing because United States, you have the legislation that pretty much never changed, where you were allowed to have red indicators. Europe, pretty much you were never allowed to have red indicators. So I wanted to speak about that because Brazil was pretty curious because it was kind of a going thing. So in the 60s, you had to have orange indicators, although it was a bit of a gray thing because you had imported cars from the United States, which you didn't have to have orange indicators. And then in the 70s, red indicators were allowed. So I think it was 74, red indicators were allowed. So you're going to see a lot of Brasilias, Bugs, Passats with red indicators. And then in 1981, it was prohibited. And it was a thing for the Gall because in 1980 it was launched with the red indicators. You would have think, oh, in 81 it's prohibited, so in 81 model year they were changed. But no, it was changed at the year of 1980. So if you had a 1980 car, but it was a 1981 model year, it would still have the red indicators. So a lot of things people think because the 1300 Gall, the 1.3 liter, was a 1980 thing, but actually some early 1981 Galls with the 1.6 liter engines had the red indicators. Not making any excuses for putting it in mine. Mine was obviously orange, being a 1982 car. But yeah, it was a pretty curious thing, and do say so myself, the red ones look better. I'm gonna turn on the hazards for you guys to see. Already has the tail lights on. Yeah, they look good. So okay, so as I said, we're approaching our 1 year anniversary owning this car, and I want to talk about my experiences with, you know, owning it. I talked about a lot of the history of the car, made a full presentation of my car, but I never talked how was it to live with. And I have to say, I'm pretty surprised for a 42-year-old car. It's reliable, it's comfortable, reasonably. It doesn't have air conditioning, which in Brazil it's hot, but I mean, suspension is nice. If you're just cruising around, the engine is pretty quiet, especially mine that has like pretty good exhaust and all that. And yeah, it's just a dream of a little car. We found it in the metropolitan area of São Paulo, a city called Santo André, which actually going to get this car, we passed through the factory of the Volkswagen factory in the Anchieta, which not where this car was built, was where the majority of Volkswagens were built in the 1970s, 80s. The Beetles, the buses, the Passats were built there. And that was a pretty nice experience. Well, as always, buying an old car that you don't know the history of, there was some stuff to do. So pretty much all the suspension of this car was done. All the brakes were, not all of them, but they were pretty much all done, Carburetors were gone over, exhaust was gone over. It was due for a valve adjustment, so that was done. But after all that was done, it was pretty reliable. I'm not gonna say it never let me down. Before we did all the carburetor stuff, this car didn't leave me stranded on the side of the road, and I had to ask for a local mechanic shop that I broke down just before to store it for me. But then after that, I came back the next day, it fired up pretty badly running, brought it back home, and then did all the carburetor stuff that I had to do, and it's been dead reliable. Haven't had a single issue with this car. Only issue is it still has the original carburetors from 1982, and when it's hot starting, it will kind of stutter, spun a bit, but after like 2 minutes of running, it will clear right up and will run perfectly. And it is consuming way more fuel than it should. It's averaging about what, 15 miles per gallon, which it shouldn't. This car at the worst should do 28, but I'm gonna have to change those carburetors anyway. So and what are my plans for it? So as I said, I'm gonna do the seats. Seats are the next thing I'm gonna do, but before that, I'm probably gonna change those carburetors just for the fuel consumption thing, because yeah, fuel is expensive, so that has to be done. I was looking, and I do have the artwork done. I have to go to some place that will print them out for me, but I have the 1.6 sticker that goes on the fender, curiously on just one side of the fender. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I did find the original inspection stickers for it, reproductions, so I can print them right here. Maker of the glass. And you know, Brazil in the 1970s had a lot of problems with you know, from where makers could get parts. So this car is all original glass. All the glass of the car is original to the car, and you still have a mismatch of make. So these ones are Blindex. This one is also Blindex, so it has a sticker. For example, the rear glass is Santa Maria. Oh, actually, yeah, Santa Maria. So this one doesn't have the sticker. This one has. Neither of these glasses have, but they're all the original glass for the car. All to have the engraving from the original insurance company that insured this car for probably the first owner. If I roll up the window, you can see here. Here. This was a pretty common thing, because car theft in Brazil was a pretty rampant thing in the 1980s. Any car would pretty much be stolen right away, so it was something they would do to kind of protect the car, because that would deter thieves, because they were stealing these cars for parts, because again, as I said, parts were hard to come by in the 1970s and 1980s. So they would do this so the car wouldn't get stolen. Pretty part of history. Sometimes it didn't work, sometimes it worked. But yeah, just want to make this quick video to update it. So own and love this thing to bits. And yeah, it's been, if you want to own an air-cooled Gol, I would recommend, because you know, for me, these are the best air-cooled Volkswagens ever made in the world. I am gonna say that, in the world. They have great handling, great dynamics, great reliability, and yeah, they are super fun. They are pretty much the fastest air-cooled Volkswagens to be sold. Like even the SP2, the 1700 engine, yeah, it was a heavy car. This one, you know, being front-wheel drive, you have already a better dynamic for, you know, power transfer and stuff. Not performance-wise, but you lose less power to the wheels. The Gol transmission, it is pretty much the Volkswagen transmission, the Beetle, but it had a lot of stuff changed with CV axles and stuff, so it is a more efficient transmission. So you lose some more power, well, lose a lot less power actually, compared to losing more power in a regular rear engine Volkswagen. Cooling system on them are way more efficient. The cooling system on this car was designed by Porsche. It is a history that, you know, sometimes people don't believe, but it was, and it works. These cars will never have problems with overheating, even in working on the hot sun. And yeah, suspension wise, B1 Passat with Audi 50 rear axle, you know, pretty much the best of both worlds. You have the Audi 50 front suspension was kind of weak. B1 Passat is reinforced for our roads, and then you have the 50 rear axle, which gets rid of that I-beam axle that Passat has. Yeah, if you want to own one, I recommend it strongly. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it, guys, here. Thanks for watching. See you next time. If I do anything major to this car, I'll sure let you guys know.